obviously, Chiefs Twitter every week. There's like a new like thing that people, get nuts about. Last week we had like the bank robber and Colin Saunders going on with a lot of fans online. But this week, actually today, so Travis Kelce on his podcast had revealed that Coach Reid is the one who calls plays and not Coach Eric Bieniemy. His brother even asked him, "Are you sure Coach EB is not the one calling plays?" He goes, "No, I'm pretty sure it's Coach Reid." So mixed reaction on Twitter. You had some fans who were saying, "Oh, not surprised. Of course, Andy Reid's calling plays." Then you have the other fans who, like to blame EB for the offense. When the offense is not doing well, they like to blame Coach EB for the reason why that's happening. So they were kind of surprised by that. So I want to ask you guys, and I know JD's on the show has always talked about how it's kind of a group effort when calling plays. It's not just Coach Reid. It's not just EB. It's a kind of a collaborative effort. So were you guys, when you guys heard that, I don't know if you guys heard that or saw that video, were you guys surprised that Coach Reid's the one calling plays, that Kelce said that?
That's more of a JD thing, because I know for us, our defense coordinator would call most of the calls. So as far as the head coach, I don't know if Coach Jamil or anybody else has made a whole lot of calls when you play. I thought it usually come from upstairs with the offense coordinator, right?
Yeah, that's where it would come from. Yeah. So okay. So here's where I'm at with this. Okay, it is without a doubt a collaborative effort. All right. So when Andy's making calls, EB, Nagy, all those guys are on the same page. They go through the entire week about what it is that the game plan is. Okay. EB may be the guy sending it in. Okay. Andy's sitting over making the calls. EB may be one that's suggesting the calls too. I think they take serious. I think they switch things up every once in a while. Okay. So Travis, what he said, if you hear what he's saying, he's actually saying, well, I'm under the impression it's Andy making the call. And the way he got that under the impression was when Andy's saying, hey, this is your play. Well, him saying that doesn't mean he was making that call. Like EB might be saying, like, look, we need to get it to Travis this time, right? We need to get it to Travis. But it is a collaborative effort. The problem I have with this, because I think it's a lose-lose situation, and I think it's a lose-lose situation for EB. For the simple,
it hurts EB bad.
Absolutely, 100%, right? That's the depth of it right there. It's because now all of a sudden you're taking away the power of EB making calls. Andy said EB makes calls. That's what Andy said. He said it himself, right? He said this himself. EB makes calls. Well, now all of a sudden, does Andy lose credit and EB lose credit by saying this guy actually doesn't make the calls? Am I trying to fluff EB up so he can get a head coaching job, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how far this goes, how deep it is. And I know it's a collaborative effort, right? And so it's the same thing. Well, we seen Patrick when he came off on the sidelines against the Bengals, he's yelling at EB. Well, if EB's not the one making the phone call or making the calls, why is he fussing at EB then? You know what I mean? So I think, man, when you go into it, there's a whole lot of nuance there. And I think if the guys told you just in itself, where the players are not necessarily in the room, I've been on offenses. I've been, in offensive rooms. I'm an offensive coach in college.
I mean, I hope, JD, he's trying to take some of the heat off it. I hope by saying it. But it does make him look bad, though.
It does.
It makes EB look bad.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because it's like, well, shoot, he's just there.
Like, what you doing? Like, what are you doing on the team for?
Right.
But I do know that from my understanding, the head coach at the beginning of the game, because you guys have a certain amount of plays that are scripted.
First 15, yes.
Yeah, that head coach is going to call those.
Yes.
After that, then it's
free.
Always called by committee.
Yes. And so usually that's how it works. And even though those first 15, they still kind of go under. Like EB knows the first 15 what they call it. You know what I'm saying? And you know how it is, E. Everything's situational too. I mean, like I ain't gonna call, 20 bowl if we're third and 25. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going, if I got a play I could try to get 15, 20 yards on, I'm gonna call that one instead of the first 15, right? Situational. But without a doubt, I think this right here hurts EB. And I don't know if Travis was trying to take some of the brunt off. I think he was just kind of making an assessment about what, how he said, well, this is what I hear, what I see, and how everything comes to me and it's operating. I think Andy calls the plays, which I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm sure Andy does call the plays, but EB is without a doubt part of that play calling aspect, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a cohesive effort with all the coaches that's making that call.
Yeah. So does Andy sit in your chair, D? You ain't never had to touch up the mustache?
I've never touched up the mustache. I often wonder who his barber was, though. That's man. He keep it buzzed, man. So I don't know who does it. I don't know if he go to a barber, if he go to a salon. I don't know. But you know, I've always echoing on what y'all talking about. I've always had players in the chair, and I've asked the same question: who calls the plays? And it's always been collaborative. They both always. I didn't hear this thing today, so it just might have been my opinion. I think it could have been situational to a specific time and moment that whoever asked the question may have been asking Trav. But I always thought EB made calls. I thought Andy made calls. I know there's always been confusion on who was the signal. I mean, what was making plays. But you know, I don't know. It does. In my opinion, it does hurt EB though too. You know what I mean? Because we all know that he's been searching for a head coaching job, and you know, there's been some naysayers out there speaking against him as well. So I mean, it can hurt him. I'm shocked. I'm just now hearing it, so it's just kind of crazy to hear that. Like I thought it was both of them making calls at different times, though. You know.
Yeah. And how that goes, and like you're saying, how it plays out is because what some people might take that information and use it against him. We're saying he may not be as brilliant as he is. Well, he's not the one making these calls up, right? When they score these points, well, EB didn't have a hand in it. So why are we going to give him that type of credit? You know,
you really need a team.
He can't even lead a team, right? Shoot, if he can't even make the calls on offense, how's he going to make the calls on the entire team and the entire organization? And so I just think and I think Travis is right. Look, Andy does make calls, no doubt about it. Andy is an offensive genius. Why wouldn't he make calls, right? Why wouldn't he do it? And so I see Andy when he's got the sheet up and he's going through this thing. I know Andy's making calls, but we got to make sure that we understand that it is a collaborative effort. Andy absolutely trusts EB emphatically about what it is that his decision, right? If he didn't, he wouldn't have him there. Same with Nagy. So that means a lot. So I don't want to take away from, understanding that EB's his influence and his imprint on the Chiefs organization and what they do offensively should not be marred at all. I just, seriously, we just got to recognize it for what it is, seriously.
Yeah. It definitely caught some Chief fans, the ones who want to blame when we have slow offensive days, the one who always want to blame EB for that. So it does for those people, the ones who always want to blame EB when we do have slow days. So it's like, oh well, Coach Reid's calling the plays. Who are they going to blame now for that kind of stuff when you hear stuff like this come out? There's a lot of people who do like to blame it on EB.
Well, when everything's good, it's Andy's doing it. When it's going bad, it's EB, right? That's
no one knows who's calling the plays, but the inside.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.